Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sit and all. Anyways, I hope you guys had a good food because that's what matters at the end of the day. So we will go through the construction to life asset cycle. We'll take you through a bit of the problem, what's in the industry, and then how the digital technologies can actually help improve the lifespan of any build asset or the construction. So I would like to start with one of an English philosopher, John Huskin, which once said, when we build, let's think we build forever. And to top it off, Walt Disney once said as well that we can dream, create, design, and build, but it's actually the people who make these wonderful places a reality. And the reality is that people are actually moving to these wonderful places that we are developing, cities. Right now, 56% of the population is based in urban areas. And if the trend goes on, by 2050, we will have 7 people out of 10 living in the urban areas. And that's what we have seen in Dubai. I mean, you can see how Dubai was in 2000 and how Dubai is right now and what we're trying to build. And even recently, the Dubai municipality has actually announced the 2040 vision. So with the 2040 vision, this is actually going to be the 7th urban development plan being issued by them, where every urban area will have their own transport system, will have their own infrastructure, will have their own environmental impacts and all that. But what does it mean for us? I mean, obviously urbanization affects quite a lot of industry, but what does it mean for the construction industry? Urbanization means the stress on the infrastructure. We need to build fast. So when we try to build fast, we as a contractors, they already have a very less margin. Once they get into the construction with a fast pace, they're going to lose that bit as well. And obviously, more construction means a bigger environmental impact, and as well as there's logistical hassle and material consumption, which directly affects the environment. So what if we build for long? What if we can increase the lifespan of a particular build asset? So usually the build assets, when back in the days, used to be around 35 to 60 years. But for now, we're even speaking of asset which lasts more than 100 years. A 100-year build asset can actually cut down the environmental impact by 39%. That's a big number. And if we go to 120, we go to 130, obviously these environmental impacts does actually cut down. One of the things that we can work in, obviously, we can engage in innovative materials. We can engage in different type of construction techniques to work out the lifespan of the construction. But there's one bit that we can, and as per the summit, is the digital construction technologies that we can avoid. Now, in all the phases, we can have field management, we can have contract management, we can have asset management, but all of these needs to collaborate. How much we're collaborating right now. One of the biggest hindrances in any industry, not just in construction, in any industry, one of the biggest hindrances is information silos. Well, let's just bring it in a very simple words. Forget about technologies. Even within the contracting companies, we have different departments. Sometimes a certain department does not want to even release the report because they don't know how the other people will perceive it and how they will interpret it. So there is an information silo. So we need to create collaboration throughout the phases so the information is shared from one phase to the other. Once we move from construction, we move to the operation and maintenance, there is a proper information sharing. And when we speak of these phases, where collaboration is required the most is when the handover phase comes in. Now, as a legal requirement, a contractor actually needs to share the manuals. They need to share all the related details of the equipment when they're handing over into the property owner. But what happens is they take it as just a legal requirement. They don't actually put an effort into this because then the last phase, what they want is just a payment the project to be finished, the documents are gone, and it's all messy. When the FM team comes in, they actually don't know where they are at. I mean, which manual is there? Whatever preventive or reactive maintenance technology or platform you're using, you still need the serial number. You still need the manual. You still need those basic documents to actually help you go through that. So why don't we bring FM team at the design phase and during the construction phase on site? So they know how the process goes on. They understand which element had what problem and from the very early stage. Let's talk about the process. So we mentioned field management. I mentioned the contract management and the asset management, how it can actually work throughout the phases. So within the field management and Thinkproject, and as I mentioned, that we believe in collaboration quite a lot, we can plan, build, and operate. So you can do your maintenance, you can do your inspections, you can do your health and safety checklist, digitalizing everything. So even people who are in the office knows what's actually going on site. So for instance, I would like to take you through one of the case study that we actually did in Saudi Arabia, Al Faisaliya Hotel, one of the 5-star hotels in Riyadh, where we're actually able to train. I know we've been speaking about how we can engage laborers, how can we engage different skill sets into technology. We were actually able to train 122 users in 45 minutes. Now, in that 16-floor buildings, there were 19,000 defects. Even if 100 defects are going to go through the maintenance to the FM teams, they need to know what actually happened into this. There needs to be a history. So what we did, we cut down the 2D drawings into specific parts where they can actually digitalize those regular inspections. Now, all the inspections are digitalized, which has proper workflows. Who approved it, when he approved it, what happened with the pictures, with the signatures, and everything is auditable. You can have an overall view. For instance, if we take just this hole, what was the MEP status, what was the architectural status, what was the structural status, that can actually be downloaded in Excel sheets. Now, everything is automated. With one click through our web platform, you can actually download those Excel sheets, and it can actually tell you the status of each and every particular stage that you work in. Now, working in the 2D, you can pinpoint those bits on the 2D drawings, and it can actually tell you all the required information that you need later in the stage. We take this one step further, where we bring in proper forms, which we call control forms, or it could be checklists. It could be as easy as yes or no, or it could be much more details with the comments from the site engineer, from the FM team, or anyone who's engaged on site in specific. Now, again, everything is auditable, because this is when it comes in if a claim is raised later in the stage, especially when you have 1 year of liability period. We can do BIM process in 2D drawing as well. So when I say BIM process in 2D drawing, we can bring in the equipment on 2D drawing with all your serial numbers, all your related manuals. You can attach a video, you can attach a PDF drawing, and as well as you can locate it exactly where it's been installed. So when was it installed, who delivered it, if it was faulty, what stage, everything is trackable within our system. And obviously, once we have all the data and we are picking everything from the site, you can actually track your progress. So which subcontractor is working how? So even in the next project, you can work it out that which subcontractor you need to work or with the contractor. Because what we're doing is we're trying to pick the data, and if the data is not helping you make early decisions, the technology is not helping you make the early decisions, then there is no point. So we progress all these things. The same can be done in 3D as well. Now, I mentioned the analytics, the data, where you can make early decisions. You can see all this in our flexible dashboards, which can actually be integrated with Power BI. On top of that, we have our own analytics, which is a totally different module, where you can bring data sets from different technologies. Now, I was mentioning earlier on the silos. This is where we're trying to cut down the silos in Thinkproject, where you can bring data sets from any existing technology that you're using, but it will still show up in our analytics. The construction is done. We have a history of how elements were installed, how the structural elements or even the equipments were installed. Now we're moving to the asset management. Asset management is a GIS-supported platform where you can view all your assets. You could have different assets on a map, which is scalable, configurable, and flexible. So when I say scalable, it could be used by a single hotel, or it could be used by a council as well, all right, for the networking and all that. And what we do is we work, again, both in 2D and 3D. When it comes to the 2D, we can make the 2D static text into dynamic text, where you can drill it down into each and every element that you're looking for. So when I said drill it down, we call it hierarchy manager. For instance, if we talk this particular hall, you could have a maintenance or element like lights. So you can drill it down to each light. You can issue inspections. You can perform assessments. You can dispatch your team to do a certain work, and as well as schedule their whole work for the whole month. And on top of it off, we actually have a financial module as well, because at the end of the day, you want to know how much you're spending next year. So it's preventive and reactive both. Considering that, our system can actually tell you how much maintenance budget that you might need for next year. So all this information, you can see that we're bringing into dashboards, we're bringing into analytics, because this is what you want to see. This is what you want to figure out what the problem is and how you can solve on the problem. And one of the similar, the ideology that we worked in was in New Zealand with Christchurch Council, where they had a very simple pledge. They wanted to close down every work order in 2 hours. So they worked in our system where we were able to achieve that to 95% of their work jobs were actually be able to close down in 2 hours from 24. Mentioning of the preventive measures in our asset management, they were actually to cut down porthole failures from 20,000 to 8,000. Now, these are very small bits, but if we start working on it, working on the maintenance, we can actually help increase the lifespan of our asset. Top it off, a very unique, very different solution is the contract management. A dedicated, streamlined contract management where you can have early warnings of variations. Every variation is going to affect time, is going to affect the cost. And these are the things that you need to know. I mean, if a certain project, if someone is investing, they want to know when the project is going to finish. So we have a proper dashboard with the scoring where you can measure it down when a cost is going to be affected, when a time is going to be effective, with all those variations and the clauses. At the same time, you can collaborate all your team. You can draft your letters. So within our contract management, whether it is FedEx, NEC, or any bespoke that contract that you're using, all the clauses will actually print out as soon as you send the letter to your contractor, any other stakeholder, that all right, clause A and B is affected by this variation, and this is going to affect these things. So it's an intelligent solution which can actually help you in your daily contract management bits. Again, everything is auditable. Archive can be worked in a private within the team, or you can actually work out in the stakeholders within that particular project. We have done this with big companies. We have done this with small companies. One of the examples is Swish Fiber, based in the UK. Their aim was very simple. They just wanted to digitalize the contract management and wanted to know how a certain variation in the contract will affect the cost. So we were able to bring all their stakeholders on board. We were able to bring all the events communication and the variation within our system to view a proper dashboard to see how things will work out. And one important aspect where we actually worked on is ITIR. So some of the high-profile projects that we have done all around the world, and the one which I believe is very close to us, and I was speaking with my colleague Jizan as well earlier on, is ITIR, which is a nuclear fusion project. 35 nations in the world are actually working on it in France to build the nuclear fusion reactor. And this is where our contract management and our technology is being used. We have done Madrid Stadium. We have done Barcelona Stadium because we wanted to keep the balance in our clients. We have done airports, and even in the region, we have very high, strong references that we can actually share and speak on if you're interested. I and Jizan, we are actually available outside if you want to have further chat of our technology and how it's being used in the region or beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Atif. Just to kick questions off, when you mention that it can sort things in terms of hierarchy, is that hierarchy both quantitative and qualitative, or is it just by value? How is the hierarchy manageable?
So when we speak of the hierarchy manager, it's more an asset base. So any asset, it has smaller elements as well. So even if you pick this stage, it has a screen, and right now it has tables, chairs. So there's a hierarchy manager that, all right, there's a stage, but then how do you drill it down?
Okay.
So it's more around the asset itself. Because you might need a maintenance just on the chair, not on the screen. But you need to know exactly where that specific event happened,
yeah,
and related documents that you require for that particular element.
Thank you. Questions, please, for Atif Rehman.
Hello, I'm Mursaleen. I was wondering about contract canvas of Thinkproject. I couldn't see something like smart contract, which is the base of, the core of contract management in fourth industrial revolution right now. I couldn't hear the words like blockchain or distributed network you can use, because that is the credibility which you can bring into contract in this age. Otherwise, manipulating contract is not a big deal now. If it is distributed to all the stakeholders, everybody knows what is happening and what should not be happening. Everybody is aware of that. I was just wondering, maybe.
I mean, this is. I understand. I hope if your question is done. Yeah. So I understand. But when we look into bigger projects, there are thousands of events that's going around, and which might not have been predicted before. So either you hire a certain workforce which is capable to deal with that complexity, or you bring in the technology. The reason that we bring, forget about the contract management, I mean, let's just speak generic on this. When we speak of technology, it is to make our life easier, all right, and to make us better decision. If a technology is not making your life easier, and you still have to go on site and to view things and still send emails and do the paperwork, then that means the technology didn't actually help you out. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to collaborate, bringing all the stakeholders to make decision as early as possible through our platform. I hope it answers the question.
Any other questions, please? Wow, suddenly, gentleman here and then yourself. Thank you. 2 more questions. Gentleman just here.
Hi, my name is Shifa. I'm from a cost consultancy firm, and where RLB is the name of the firm. You had an interesting feature of contract management in your software, and that's an amazing feature which I have coming across first time in the industry. So I would like to know how the bespoke contract or the standard contracts are incorporated so that any clauses will be auto-generated or notified when the mediation comes. So can you please explain how that works in the software, please?
Yeah, so when you say bespoke, that is customized. When we speak of FedEx or NECs, obviously they have certain clauses. We know how things are going to work. This is where our consultants comes in. Contract management solution that we have, and as I mentioned and as you said, is very different. It's been made by contract managers themselves. So if there is a bespoke contract, that's where our consultants comes in. They will sit down with you. They will implement all those clauses as required within our system so that it can help us throughout the project phase. It's case by case. When it comes to bespoke, in anything that you say, it's case by case. We go get a suit. It's a bespoke suit. The client needs to come in. We need to take measurements, and then it's made, tailored made. That's why it's called bespoke. So even in this bit, we sit down with our clients. We have long conversations, understanding the clauses, the processes that they want to fill in. And I always say this to our client, that this is an important time where you engage with our consultants, because they have had experience throughout the globe that they have worked with. So there could be a particular workflow, or there could be a particular way or technology that we can actually put in to enhance your experience within the project. So this is the time where you can actually collaborate with our technical team as well to get the best experience.
And
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm from a company called Epicon. We do all sorts of BIM services. Atif, first of all, thank you so much for the presentation. That was very informational. It was very good. We spoke to you briefly in the hall right there. But the one question I wanted to ask is that you showcased the projects that you guys did or cooperated with. And those were like the big ones, right? Like the stadiums and the cities and everything. So what I wanted to ask is that you think your product is suitable more for like the big established construction companies, or for like, you know, like cities, governance and stuff like this, or it's also good for smaller construction companies, smaller companies that are like only developing right now, or starting their journey, so they might not be as well funded, you know, as the big clients that you already had, but you know, they're developing. So yeah, thank you.
The aim that we work on is flexibility, obviously configurability, and then scalability. Whenever someone asks me that, oh, so you're showcasing, as you said, the big projects and all that, you know, stadiums, airports, within the same country, actually within the same council, no, if not the council, I might be wrong in that bit, but around the same area in France where that nuclear project is going on, a carpet cleaner is actually using our technology. Now, I don't think so we need to get into much more details into that, because the carpet cleaner, they're using our field management solution, where they, every time they clean a particular space, they want to make sure that the hotel manager knows and signs it off. Because what used to happen, they used to clean, someone would walk off, and the hospitality will come in and be like, oh, you never cleaned it. But what he does is now, he cleans everything, takes the pictures, sends it to the hotel manager, he approves this, everything is auditable with the time, everything, and he's using it. And within miles away, we are on a project which is worth $20 billion.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please, a huge round of applause for Atif Rehman. Thank you.